Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. If you're going to be at Focus OKC this weekend, I'll see you there. I get in late on Thursday, and then Dr. Ron Oberstein, Dr. Troy Dukowitz, and I are on a panel on Friday, and then I'm speaking on Saturday. And I have some really exciting stuff that I'll be sharing with everyone that I'm confident you haven't heard before. So I hope to see you at Focus OKC. The following weekend, I'll be at Life West for the wave. We do have a women's circle. Dr. Mary Oberstein and I and the sorority, Stephanie, we're all doing a women's circle together. It is free. I'm picking up the tab. So if you're going to be there, reach out to me so I can give you the registration link and join us. So talk about women's circle. This lady right here has always been part of my circle since I started the boot camp all the way back in 2017. So Dr. Shauna, thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I can't even imagine how many of these we've done over the last 5 years together. It has definitely been a lot. And the memories that we've had of I don't think you've missed a single event, a single live event. Shauna is always there, and we always have lots of fun. I was on with Dr. Courtney Gilmer the other day, and we were talking about how, or maybe it was here at the Alaskan Adventure, that Shauna's team just has their own space in the boot camp house. That's just the way it is. You guys have peed on it. You own it. Yep. There's just certain things. And Shauna is the most winning coach of the 90-day sprint challenge that we started, not really knowing that COVID was coming. But what a huge blessing it was for boot campers to have come together for this 90-day sprint challenge. And what happens, if you're unfamiliar with it, is I really look at like what's necessary to do consistently in practice to have great results and to build a strong foundation. You know, things like asking for referrals and asking for testimonials and leveraging testimonials and asking for reviews and all of those things that we know we're supposed to do. And sometimes we just stop doing them because it works so well. And so the sprint challenge is like locking arms with the people on your team and remembering to do those things, and you accumulate points because of it. Well, we did the first one and started it in January of 2020, not knowing COVID was right there. And there was so much momentum that was created in the boot camp offices that were doing the 90-day sprint challenge that for many of them, even though it was COVID, it ended up being like a banner rock star, like best year ever. And it worked so well that guess what? We do it every year. And this year we're doing it twice. And Shauna, this past year, I think you had like, I don't know, 1 million points more than anyone else. It was insane. So Shauna, as the winning coach, what have you observed on your team that, number one, leads to so many points, and number two, builds such a strong community of you and your 20 participants?
So this was my third year of being a sprint coach, and I believe I had 5 of my originals from my first team that continued to be on my team, because some people are like dibs on Shauna. So because they already know my style, but like the first year I came out, I was really intense in everybody's face, and I'm like, okay, you got to do this, this, and this. Like I was their mom, I was like their office manager all at the same time, and I'm like, I'm burning myself out. Because in addition to that, I'm also seeing my own patients and taking care of my practice too. So I was pretty intense, and you can ask my first team, Relentless AF, they will tell you I was pretty intense. So I'm very competitive too. So the second year I did it, I was pretty laid back. I also had teams in 4 different countries and 3 different continents. So the time zone thing kind of threw a wrench in the wheel, but it was also cool to see how different countries practice versus the US. So that kind of built like a global camaraderie, hence the name International Hustlers. That was our team name at the time. And then, and as you learn personalities, you learn who works well with you and who doesn't. So third year, this year, I basically took my rock stars from my last 2 years and was like, okay, you want to do this again? You want to do it with me? Let's go. And then we open it up because every year we put a limit on it. And then it's like, our teams are full and we need more people. So then we open it up and keep adding. So then we get like newbies who just joined the boot camp or those who just open their practice and stuff like that. So I have my veterans who are like, okay, Shauna's the big sis. She's the coach. She knows what she's doing. And in addition to that, I share what I'm doing in my office too. So they see that I'm in the trenches with them now. Although they don't see anybody else's stats but their own, I see everybody's stats. And since I'm very competitive, I can't let one of my teammates outperform me. So I make a point to let them know, hey, here were our top 3 or top 5 people for the week. Thank you for getting your points in. By the way, this is what I did too. So that way, those who just open their practice and they see maybe 20 patients a week, they're like, oh, I can't compare to you. I'm like, well, I've also been in practice for 10 years. You just opened your doors. I was there at one point, but this, depending on what you want your practice to look like, can look like mine, can look like Dr. Charet's. You could have two locations like Dr. Callie and Dr. Bailey. You could have a livestock or an animal chiropractic office, or, set up like Dr. Molly does. So it just depends on like what their niche is and what they're looking to achieve. And that's really what I tell all my teammates. It's like, what do you want to do? What kind of impact do you want to make in your community? Like, who are you focused on? Are you a peds practice? Are you a sports practice? Are you a DOT medical examiner like me? Do you just want to do a family wellness practice? And once they're like, oh, I want to help everybody. Well, you can't help everybody. Let's focus on who you want to help. Specific. Let's get specific with our avatar. And once they figure out like what they want to see and who they want to see and how they want their practice to look, then we focus on the other stuff. Like, what are your professional goals? What are your personal goals? What are your financial goals? And then we reverse engineer those so that way they can see, oh, I only have to see this many patients per hour to reach my goal. Then yeah, I can totally do that. Versus like, if I want to see 500,000 K a year, I have to do this. It's manageable if you hit that goal. But again, don't have the big hairy goal if you can't have $100,000 a month incoming if you haven't managed $10,000 a month. So let's take the proper steps to get to where you need to be versus like, oh, I want this. And if you don't hit that big goal, then you're a failure. That's not how that works. Don't focus on what you didn't hit. Focus on the people that you served. When you focus on the people that you serve, the money comes in.
And so like you guys did an amazing job, obviously with points this year, you won. What are the biggest point categories that you see your team members just racking up the points?
So it was patient referrals and Google referrals. So they're like, okay, how can we work smarter, not harder? I'm like, how can you delegate? Hey guys, get your emails going out. You have an email list of 1,500 people like I do. Every single one of those count. That's how you rack up a bunch of points. And my teammates that have watches are like, don't give away our secrets. Well, I mean, that's what we did. They made sure that, if I saw 200 patients a week, I made sure that I asked at least half of them for a patient referral, because all my referrals are word of mouth. They looked up my Google reviews and they saw, oh, she's got a ton of Google reviews and they're all good. Or they asked a question on Facebook, who's your chiropractor, and everybody's tagging me left and right. I'm also very vocal on social media. If you look at our Instagram page, I have over 100 reels on Instagram, just being stupid me, being funny and, putting out information, but I'm also doing some trendy stuff too. Before this last sprint, I did not do anything on Instagram. Nothing. I was always posting stuff on Facebook. I didn't have a TikTok until now. I'm posting Instagram reels all the time. My husband can even hear certain things on Instagram. He'll like, you're watching Instagram right now. Because I know that's a trending audio right now. Like, yeah, exactly. And I even have on my whiteboard right now in my office so that patients that don't have Instagram know we're on Instagram, and they add Instagram so they can just watch my videos because they're like, we want to see what Doc's doing. So on my whiteboard right now, I'm like, out of all the Instagram reels we've posted, which one's your favorite?
Nice.
And then I'll take those that I've saved on Instagram and I'll post it to our Facebook page too. So those that don't have Instagram can see it on our Facebook page.
What ones did they list were their favorites? Was it a topic? Was it something in particular that you did? What did you notice, or what did they tell you?
It's basically like stuff that I make fun of, little quirky things. Like like one of the favorites a lot of people mentioned earlier in the year was I have a straight bench in my office that I adjust on, and short people don't know where to get on the table. So they get on at the end of the table and then they have to pull themselves up to the headpiece.
That's hilarious.
Um, so that song Jump Around that you hear in Mrs. Doubtfire is like, so it's like they're pulling themselves up the table and it's screeching like they're going across the gym floor. They're
That's
like, I
funny.
feel attacked right now. I'm like, well, it is what it is. No big deal. Or I don't know, stuff that I say about like drinking their water and whatnot. I just come up, I hear audios and I'm like, oh, I could do this reel with that, or I can do something like that. So, I mean, if you want to look at our Instagram reel, it's at Madison Cairo Well. Look for my face and all the reels. You'll notice that's our page. So
That's your new jam. Right on. So what, um, you're a founding boot camp member. What makes our tribe so unique? I mean, I recognize, like, before we moved here, I had a client in Homer, and I remember her telling me, because I'm like, what's so special about it? Like, I don't get it. And she's like, I don't know how to explain it until you're here. And then when you're here in Alaska, there's just this energy about it. It's kind of like the boot camp. Like, what's so special about it? Everything. And how, like, what does make it so special?
So I would say that I mean, it's a huge community. To me, I say it's like a big sorority, but it's a big sisterhood basically. And obviously, we've gone global because we have people in Australia, New Zealand, Peru. I think we have some people in Europe too. Um, and we do have some guys too. So it's not just women chiropractors, although the majority of us are women. And we have over 400 active members on our Facebook group too.
Yep.
So realistically, it's a collective of chiropractors who are working towards the greater good of their communities.
Mm.
And I don't want to say it's like Planet Fitness, a no judgment zone and be cliche and stupid about it, but it's like somebody throws up, hey, I need help with this, or hey, do you guys know somebody here or that? And it's literally a supportive group like, here, look, I've done this before. This is what has helped me. Somebody can be like, I need recommendations for this, and you'll get like 10, 20 people saying, oh, this is what I did, and they'll all be different, and then you just see what helps you and what fits your practice the best. And
Mm.
nobody's going to give the exact same advice, but a lot of people are like, yeah, I agree with Shauna, and then add this, or do what Sheree said, and stuff like that. It just depends on what you're looking for, but we're very supportive with each other. There's no cattiness. There's no throwing anybody under the bus. We're always there to give that helping hand to help somebody up. We empower each other. We give somebody the leg up. Like, hey, I'm up here. Let me help you up here so you can see the view up here with me.
Nice. So there are lots of groups or Facebook pages that you can post a question and get responses. What's different about how that works in the boot camp, and what's unique to the relationships that you have formed in the boot camp?
Um, I mean, you can't tell tone with a text, but I know that if somebody gives me corrective criticism in the boot camp, it's with love versus it could be kind of snarky coming from somebody else that I've never met in a different group, depending on their experience with other people that I'm friends with or in circles with. But I know if I am a little bit sarcastic to somebody, example, everybody knows I'm the coffee enema queen. So people always joke about coffee enemas and putting coffee in their butt with me. And I know it's a joke. And yes, we all, haha, Shauna does this, blah, blah, blah. But we can poke fun at each other and it not be like
Oh,
disrespectful or belittling. We
yeah,
can have a good time, not necessarily at each other's expense, but we can still kind of poke fun at each other and not take offense to it.
yeah,
Where in other groups, they would be like, oh, well, so and so said this, and blah, blah, and did you hear this? And then it's gossip, and then it's like, it's gone toxic, and then it's not a good thing anymore. And then it kind of taints the water, and then you don't want to be part of that group anymore. And that's not what we're about in the boot camp.
and I think you described it really well. It's psychological safety
Mm-hmm.
that in the boot camp there is 100% responsibility on all of our parts to show up and lean in and remember that everyone is doing the best they can given the thinking that appears real to them. That when someone asks a question, they're asking it because they want help. And so that environment of psychological safety and even freedom. And I think a lot of that comes from, there are no two practices in the boot camp that are alike. Like, I love that the boot camp is representative of, I think, every kind of practice you can imagine, in chiropractic.
And there's no one right answer either.
No.
So like if somebody asks a question or they want a recommendation or they need help with a patient, hey, I got this patient that presented with this. What would you guys recommend doing? This is what we've already done. And then you'll have a list of different things that you can also, in addition to what you've already done, try as well, to see where you want to go with your treatment plan and to see how the patient responds to that treatment. So there's no like, well, this is the Holy Grail and this is what you say and this is the chiropractic Bible and this is blah, 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 blah. We don't do that.
I love the chiropractic Bible.
We don't do that.
Yeah, it never raises somebody else up to make somebody wrong.
Right.
Right.
And
it's like no need for it.
And those who are successful don't belittle those who aren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all started at zero.
Correct. Right. Sometimes more than once.
Yeah. And you know, everyone has a story, right? Whether it came from your childhood or it came from chiro school or it came from college or it came from marriage or whatever, we all have a story. And one of the things that I really love in the boot camp, and we just talked about it here when we had the Alaska Mastermind, I don't have it, but it was basically that there isn't severity of trauma, that it's personal. You know, maybe I didn't suffer at one point like you did, or maybe my practice, it looks great to everybody else, but for me, there's something that isn't quite right. There isn't a severity scale. It just is. And I love that we all hold space for one another, in the highs and in the lows and everything in between. That, you know, if I'm boo-hooing and feeling sorry for myself, like, there's a kiss and a swift kick in the ass. Like, get over yourself, get on with it. No storm permanently damages the sky. You're going to be fine. And I think sometimes we need that reminder. You know, the idea that misery loves company. Well, we believe that success loves it even more.
Right.
And so bonding together and Shauna's been a huge part. Every time before I get started with another 60-day sprint, she and I always have a powwow together and talk about, all right, what's this one going to look like? And how do we make it better? And what experience do we want people to have? And so I'm just want to publicly thank you for always being right there and making it a really fun experience. For those of you who are in the boot camp, the next one starts off September the 19th. We'll get teams formed by September the 12th. If you're not a boot camp and you're like, this sounds cool, it is cool. You do have to be a boot camper to participate. It's tons of fun, and unbelievable bonds are developed through our 60-day sprints. And again, I literally, I could not do it without all of your help and all of your support. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. As we wrap this up, what final words do you want to say to somebody who is in our tribe and maybe they've just been inactive and they've never even done a sprint? What do you want to say?
Well, you don't really know how your practice is going or how your performance is, and you can't manage what you don't measure. And I noticed doing a lot of these sprints that a lot of our docs don't do their metrics properly. And they're like, well, what are your numbers? I don't know. How do you not know your numbers? Like, I check my numbers every single day, because that's what I'm focused on. I want to know, how many people did I serve today? How many new patients did we get? How, where are they coming from? Stuff like that. So I can always continue to manage it and improve it. So, I mean, I joined the boot camp because I felt like I was stuck. I was an associate in a practice, in my current practice, had just started out, and it was my third practice, and I know I was made for something bigger, and I didn't want to feel like the mediocre chiropractor anymore. And I wanted to make a much bigger impact, not just in Mansfield, Ohio, but not just Ohio itself, but I wanted to make a global impact. And I've been able to do so by being part of the boot camp. And I've met multiple different people that I never would have met if it wasn't for going to these events with you, Dr. Barb, because let's be honest, your Rolodex is huge.
Yeah.
And you have a huge network of people, and that's another thing too, is that you're a connector. You connect people together. Like, oh, you need this, then you need to talk to this person. Oh, you need this, then let me put you in a group chat with this person so you guys can connect and move forward with your business. You're not alone in practice. We have over 400 chiropractors in this group who've probably done the same thing or been through the same thing that you have. And you think, well, I'm the only person that's ever done this. No,
Probably not.
I'm an associate that's in her third practice.
Yeah.
I'm going to be partnering and owning. So there's that. I mean, there's other people who have started their own practices from scratch. There's the others who had their own practice and closed it and then went and worked as an associate or an independent contractor. We have all different walks of life in the boot camp, and we have guys in the boot camp too, and they're cool. And if you're not cool, we're not going to let you in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're catty and entitled and like a stupid millennial that wham, cry, poor me, takes the victim mentality, we don't want you. You have to be responsible for your actions, and you have to take responsibility for your practice. Own up to what you haven't done, and you don't know what you don't know. And we're here to help you and teach you and guide you through that process. I mean, I have a doc that was on my team the last 2 years, and she'll still reach out to me like, hey, can you help me with this? Or I've got this. Yeah, no problem. And she'll be like, you didn't post. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. What's up? And she's like, you didn't post your end of the month post like you always do. I've been waiting for the post. Where are you? She's like, I'm just checking on you. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I got caught up in the end of the month. So it's that camaraderie. It's that family. Anytime I go to live events, I'm excited to see my boot campers. Big hugs. The bunk room in the boot camp house is always ours because my whole team sleeps in there. So unless they have other arrangements. So, but it's one big family.
Yeah. And, you know, I've sometimes heard people say they don't have time for the 60-day sprint. And here's the deal. It doesn't take more time. If anything, it organizes our time, right? And it helps us really take a close look at what's most important in business in order to have profitability in a fun and exciting way. So if you're a boot camper and you haven't done the sprint yet, like do this one. And when you sign up, be all in. Like others are counting on you. And that's part of community, is that you matter. I matter. We matter. And I love that our tribe takes our relationships and the impact, you know, like our synergistic energy so seriously. It's so beautiful.
Well, and to those that say they don't have time, then what do you have time for? Because if you don't have time to work on yourself and your practice, then what are you really doing? You're just going through the motions. You're just showing up. You're not, your business isn't thriving. And what kind of impact are you making on your family and your community?
Yeah. And with that though, too, like be around the docs in the 60-day sprint challenge who are crushing it and still have time to be in the challenge, right? Like it's going to also help you develop those cadences of accountability, because I don't just randomly say like, oh, here's some cool things to do in your practice to earn points. Like, no, these are foundational systems that we all know are really important, and they're not super sexy and like, you know, like the fireworks aren't going off for the most part, because they're just like that steady Eddie stuff that builds that bread and butter of our practice that's always really necessary, that we stay focused on. And it's easy to get off on a tangent. It's easy to forget our cows, right? And chase the fireworks or the shooting stars or whatever it happens to be. So I just want to say thank you so much. And to all of you, we're looking forward to our next sprint challenge. Kicks off September the 19th. We wrap it up November 18th, which is right after the Ultimate Marketing Bootcamp. No, I'm sorry. It's just before the Ultimate Marketing Bootcamp. If you're not registered for that yet, it's going to be a blast. This year's Ultimate Marketing Bootcamp is I'll be walking you through how do you look at your practice and your business, your brand with a proper lens of analysis as a business, not a hobby or, something that's kind of fun or even a practice, but really a business and a brand. How do we analyze it? And then we're going to look at that data. And then how do we use that data to plan our next year? As well, we'll be doing our 12-month marketing calendar in a different way this year. For those of you who don't know, I am a brain-centric instructional designer now. I've gone through the cohort. I'm teaching it the first time this weekend. And the two developers of it have agreed to do a program with me for chiropractors only that starts in October. And so we'll be using brain-centric design as the format for the Ultimate Marketing Bootcamp. And here's the cool thing is that the Ebbinghaus curve, which was based on research from way back when, indicates that we forget 80% of what we've heard within 24 hours. And so brain-centric design changes that. It helps us be more efficient and it helps us learn in a way that is congruent with our neurology. And so I'm really excited to be showing all of you how can you look at your business in 2023 through the BCD lens so that your practice members are understanding, like a deep understanding of chiropractic, a deep connection to you and the services that you're providing. You'll see a huge increase in your business with way less effort. So Shauna, any last minute words to our audience today?
Get out of your head, get out of your own way, and really focus on the impact that you want to make in the world, and just do it. Put action to the dreams. Otherwise, they're just thoughts.
Someone just asked, is there a replay? I missed most of this. Yep. Just as soon as we sign off, you can go right back and see the whole thing. So thanks for asking. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Shauna, thanks so much. I love you a lot. Bye.
Bye.